Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great day. We're almost halfway through the day, and then you get to go home and enjoy your family. So that's a good thing. And then tomorrow's Friday, which is even better thing. Wanted to hop on here live today to educate you as usual. And I thought after getting my hair done today, it would be the perfect time to go live while it's looking good. Anyways, we are talking a lot about sugar this month, especially in the VIP Faster Way membership. So I thought it would be a perfect time to come on here and tell you guys why you should eat less sugar. Why is because you're already sweet enough. My name is Lauren Mattingly. I am a certified premier faster way to fat loss coach with a degree in nutrition. So my main goal is to educate and empower women, especially busy moms like myself, to make sustainable lifestyle changes that will allow you to become a happier, healthier version of yourself. So what I want to do is I want to give you guys the tools you need to successfully create that healthy lifestyle, not only for yourself, but also for your families. All right, so before I get into the meat of this discussion today, and trust me, you're going to want to hang on. I want to first remind you all that this is my final call for my next round of the Faster Way. We start prep week on Monday, so October 14th. I have just a few spots remaining. I would love for you guys to join us as we move into the most wonderful time of the year, holiday season. Now is the very best time to start working towards your health and wellness goals, and in an even better time to get those sweet cravings in check before we are faced with all of the cakes and the cookies and the pies over the next 3 months. So first, I want to start by talking about what sugar is doing to our bodies. And then if you hang on long enough, I'm going to give you guys a few tips on how to at least reduce your sugar intake, if not eliminate it completely, and obviously talk through why we should do that. So previously, if we kind of go back in history a little bit, we were taught that fat was the cause of heart disease and obesity. And we are still in that mindset today, unfortunately, that fat is what causes those chronic diseases. And that's just simply not the case. Healthy fats do not make you fat. They don't cause heart disease, those healthy, fit fats. There are good fats and bad fats, just as there are good sugars and bad sugars. But that is not what is the leading cause of chronic disease. Even though we know that now, it's still something that we struggle with as a society to really understand. And a lot of times we gravitate to the fat-free foods and those things. And those foods, yes, they are reduced in fat, but what happens is they are full of sugar. And so now I want to educate you on why you should not be purchasing all the fat-free stuff, why you should take your focus away from fat and instead focus on what is really the problem. And that is sugar, okay? Sugar was thought to be simply just empty calories and nothing more or less than that. So we were told that it was okay to eat sugar, and big companies added more sugar to products and took out the fat because sugar contained fewer calories. So they thought it was better for you. Now we all know that is false. We know that it's not calories that drive obesity. It's actually the insulin response that is negatively affecting our bodies, which is the problem. That's the problem. It's the insulin response. And I'm going to explain that for you. So even though sugar has less than half of the calories than fat, we all know that high fat foods are full of calories, which is actually a good thing if you're eating the right types of fats. But what happens is, even though it has less calories, it causes an increase in insulin production when you eat sugar, which leads to more cravings for sugar, which I will talk more about here in a second. But eventually what happens is this leads to insulin resistance. You guys, this is the problem with obesity. Insulin resistance, okay? Our cells, they no longer respond to prolonged exposure to high insulin because we are constantly over consuming sugar or carbohydrates, the wrong types of carbohydrates. So this causes our bodies to stop responding to that signal, and that leads to insulin resistance. This is when the trouble starts, okay? Insulin resistance leads to higher insulin levels. We accumulate more and more insulin because our cells stop responding to the signals, and that encourages our bodies to store sugar and fat. Okay, that is the problem. Especially we store it in our abdomen. That is why people have trouble losing weight, especially in their midsection. So there is now an overwhelming amount of research out there that has concluded that sugar is the driving force behind the obesity epidemic that we are facing today. So I want you guys to be aware of this, and I want you guys to know what to look for and how to avoid these hidden sugars that are everywhere. So that's what I'm going to talk through now, is kind of making you aware of where this sugar is. And it's probably in a lot of things that you have no clue. You have no idea how much sugar you're consuming because you don't even realize that you're consuming sugar. So sugar in all its forms, not fat, is the leading cause of heart disease. It's linked to, I'm going to tell you the dangers of sugar, and then I'm going to tell you where you can find it. But it's linked to diabetes, obviously, cancer, dementia, stroke, depression. It causes inflammation in the body. This is one of the issues with sugar. It's an inflammatory food. It causes inflammation in your body. And what do we know about inflammation? That is the precursor for almost every chronic disease, if not every chronic disease. So sugar is going to cause you to have elevated blood pressure, higher cholesterol, high triglyceride levels. It's going to damage your liver. It causes fatty liver disease. And like I've already mentioned, it obviously is going to accelerate weight gain, especially in your midsection. So it doesn't just make you gain weight, though. It actually makes you sick. It makes you sick, okay? I have to give Amanda Tress credit for this statement because it has just stuck with me, and I feel like it's very important to share with you all. You guys, we are either feeding a disease or preventing a disease. It is so important that we consider what we're eating and why we are eating it. This is one of the many things that I love about the Faster Way. We're not just a weight loss program. Through this platform, I'm able to educate you on how to fuel your body so that you can prevent and fight disease. Food is medicine, but it can also be a huge contributing factor for many chronic diseases if you're eating the wrong things. So another terrifying fact for you is that sugar is highly, highly addictive. It's the only food substance that exists that has the same reaction as our brain would have to drugs like cocaine and heroin. It is literally a drug. Sugar, it alters your brain chemistry, and that causes you to have these insane, intense cravings, just like you would for a drug. So the more you eat sugar, the more you're going to want. Just like the more you take a drug, the more you're going to want. I don't know what the proper term for that is because I've never dabbled in drugs, but you get my drift. It's a drug. It's addictive, okay? So that's another huge terrifying problem, is that we are simply just totally addicted to sugar. And sugar is not just in obvious foods like a donut or a candy bar. I mean, we all know that when we go eat a Twinkie, we're eating a bunch of sugar. We know that. But it's also in nearly everything else we consume. There are hidden sugars in sauces, meats. For instance, the bacon that I ate this week had hidden sugars in it. Salad dressings are loaded with sugar many times, and so many other processed foods. I mean, I opened up a can of kidney beans the other day and looked at the label, and I was like, why do my kidney beans need sugar? I don't understand. So yeah, it's in everything. There are literally over 60 names for sugar. And so big box companies make it extremely difficult to even identify sugar on the nutrition label. And it's not just enough that you read the front. Okay, when you look at a can of kidney beans, you think it's just kidney beans. When you flip it over and you read the nutrition label on the back side, you realize that it's not just kidney beans. There's added sugar in there. So it's literally in 80% of all of our processed foods, which makes it so important that you read the labels. It's not enough to just look at the front. And it's not the sugar that you add to your foods at home while you're cooking that is the real problem or major cause for concern. It's the sugar that's added to all of the other stuff, all of the processed foods that we heavily rely on as a society, the things that we purchase in the store. That is where the issue is. And like I said, it's so hard to even identify added sugar in the products on the shelf because they have come up with 60 different names for it so that we cannot identify it. Even myself or someone who is trained to read nutrition labels can have a hard time distinguishing that. So, you know, there's different things like ways to say it. Anything with corn, like corn syrup, agave, cane is another word to look for, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, anything that ends in ose. So like fructose, sucrose, maltose, malt, just that word alone. Anything that starts with iso is another indication that it is in fact sugar. Syrup, of course, molasses, and then of course, you know, things like coconut sugar, brown sugar, confectioner's sugar. There's, again, tons and tons of ways to say sugar without actually saying sugar. And so we can look at the label and think, oh, it looks good. And then you realize when you start researching these ingredients that you don't recognize that it is in fact sugar. And we'll talk about why it's important for you to just simply focus on whole food nutrition. But going back to reading the labels, if you cannot read, if you don't know what an ingredient is in a product, that's not a good sign. So if you can read the label and there's very few ingredients and you know exactly what those ingredients are, then you're a lot better off. So just remember that when you're reading those ingredient labels next time. And actually, the American Heart Association, they recommend that women have about 6 teaspoons of sugar a day, men 9 teaspoons a day. So that's like 100 to 150 calories, which is very little. That's not very many calories at all. So even if you aren't tracking your food, you can almost guarantee that we are all eating way more sugar than what's recommended. So it's important that you recognize that there are hidden sugars in your foods, in your products that you're buying, and try to avoid that if you can, so that we can reduce our intake. So I want to briefly touch on artificial sweeteners because, again, marketing at its finest has really pushed us to change out just regular good old-fashioned sugar with artificial sweeteners. And because it does not have calories, just because it doesn't have calories does not mean that it doesn't have a huge effect on your body. In fact, I might even venture to say that it could be even worse than real sugar for you. So people who consume diet drinks every day, they have a greater risk for diabetes and metabolic syndromes. Artificial sweeteners cause you to want to eat more. They, instead of satisfying your cravings, they just want you to have more. They alter your gut flora, destroying the good bacteria in your gut, and that leads to glucose intolerance, which is promoting obesity and type 2 diabetes. And, you know, most likely these foods are labeled as sugar-free. On the label, you're going to look at the front, it says sugar-free. Well, that is, like I said, that's not enough. You have to turn the turn the product around. You have to look at that back label, and you're going to identify some artificial sweeteners almost all the time. So diet sodas obviously are loaded with artificial sweeteners, and then anything that is labeled sugar-free is most of the time, unfortunately, going to contain some type of artificial sweetener. Sugar alcohols are right in line somewhat with artificial sweeteners, although they may not be quite as bad as artificial sweeteners, like, the traditional Splenda, those kind of things, but these are the ones that end in OL. So if you're looking at the label, you'll see sorbitol, maltitol, erythritol. Those are sugar alcohols, which are maybe a step up from artificial sweeteners, but unfortunately, they can still cause a lot of issues with digestion. I know for me, I have a really hard time with them. I cannot eat them because they hurt my stomach. So I have to keep those at a minimum. And not only that, they'll still have the same response. Your brain doesn't know that you're consuming a sugar alcohol versus plain good old-fashioned sugar. It just knows that you're stimulating that response in your brain, and then you're going to want more. So that addictive, got to have more, hooked on sweets, you're still going to have that. So we want to just kind of keep that in moderation. Okay, that is what sugar is doing to your body and a little bit about where you can find it. Hopefully you guys are sticking with me, because we're going to get into some of my tips for reducing, at least reducing sugar in your diet, if not completely eliminating it. So we know, like I said, if the more sweets you eat, the more you are going to want. So it's a drug, but we want to be realistic. We want to be reasonable. I'm not going to go my whole life without eating a donut. I guarantee you that. I mean, that is not something I want for myself or for you. We have to be reasonable, and ultimately our goal should just simply be to find a healthier way moving forward. And whether that is just trying to eliminate some of the processed foods in your diet, just practicing balance and moderation with your sugar intake is huge. The best way to do this, of course, is to avoid sugar as much as possible, including those artificial sweeteners, and instead focus on eating majority of the time real, whole foods, unprocessed foods. If it has a mother or comes from the ground, that is what we hope to accomplish through the faster way. We want you guys to focus on whole food nutrition, and that is going to eliminate a lot of the added sugars already. So if you want to go for it and try eliminating sugar completely, give it 10 days. I guarantee you guys, if you eliminate sugar for 10 days, you're going to see drastic reduction in your cravings, if they're not completely gone after that. So that's one goal. One huge goal is for you to just simply reduce the cravings that you have, so that you eat less of it and you want less of it. And maybe those sweet things that you eat are a little sweeter. You just don't want as much of that anymore. That is one of the big goals that we have with trying to eliminate sugars and focusing on whole foods. But also, it's going to have a huge impact on your health. You could see a huge reduction in symptoms of chronic diseases that you might have. It's going to happen rapidly. So eliminating sugar, you're going to have a pretty rapid response in eliminating those symptoms. So this is one of the many reasons, just one of the many reasons, that the faster way to fat loss has been so successful. Clients have seen a reduction in their LDL cholesterol, their blood sugar and insulin levels. It's lowered. They have had lower blood pressure. It has eliminated digestive issues and so many more, because we have removed these processed foods from our diet. And by doing that, we are eliminating much of the added sugar that we have been consuming. So our clients are seeing substantial differences in their overall health, which is my goal in life. So if you are working to reduce sugar in your diet or working to eliminate it, start slow. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Progress, not perfection, is always the goal. But if I had one thing to recommend or one place to start, I would start by eliminating sugary beverages. And that includes your juices, because juices are loaded with sugar from the fruit, a natural source, but they don't have the fiber and all the other good stuff that an apple or a banana, if you grab just a piece of fruit, would have. So it really is not a lot better than a soda, unfortunately. So start by eliminating those sugary beverages. Obviously, soda is a huge part of that. And this might gross you out, or I hope it does, but a 20-ounce soda, it contains 16 teaspoons of sugar. Can you imagine adding 16 teaspoons of sugar to your drink yourself, like adding 16 teaspoons of sugar to your coffee in the morning? Oh my gosh. So let's just start there. That is one thing that you can eliminate from your diet, and that will drastically improve your health. And drastically reduce the amount of sugar that you're actually consuming. Now, while you're doing this, you're probably going to want to drink a lot of water, and that's something that I encourage all the time because it helps with fullness and it helps you to just feel satisfied. But while you are kind of going through a process of eliminating sugars and maybe having some detox symptoms from that, your body's releasing these toxins while you're detoxing from eating all of that sugar. And so water is going to help with that, help with releasing those toxins. And it's actually going to help with cravings as well. So drink a lot of water while you're doing that. And then also just eating well-balanced whole food meals is so key when you are, well, anytime, but when you're trying to eliminate sugar and doing it in, often enough so that you're not getting super hungry, because we all know that when you get real hungry, you tend to make poor decisions. So just try to eat and stay full and be satisfied. Focusing on eating a substantial amount of fiber is also really important. Fiber helps to blunt cravings. It increases your satiety. It helps you stay full longer. It helps to prevent that rapid rise in blood glucose and insulin levels. So that's another reason why eating a piece of fruit is different than drinking a glass of juice. And focusing on those dark leafy greens is key. But increasing your fiber intake is super, super important for everybody all the time. Fruit. So we don't encourage eliminating fruit from your diet. That's nature's perfect sweet treat. It has fiber, it has vitamins and minerals, it has antioxidants. It actually helps to reduce and prevent inflammation. And even dried fruit is okay if you just check the label and you make sure that there's no added sugar. I know sometimes that's a better option than having fresh fruit on hand if you're traveling or whatnot. So fruit is great. Fruit should not be eliminated. It's the added sugars in our food products that is the concern. And then alternatives to soda, black coffee is obviously the best, but maybe adding in some approved creamers. So like nut pods is one option for you that doesn't have any added sugar. If you are, and that's if you're needing like the caffeine part of the soda. Now, if you are missing the fizz part of the soda, then the seltzer waters are flavored, and those are a good way to get that bubbly flavored kind of thing. And then also, a really great option is just to simply flavor your water with fruits, berries, that kind of thing. Now, if you're looking to, maybe you need to use some type of sweetener, but you don't want to use the wrong types of sweeteners. There are some that are a little better for you. So honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar, monk fruit is a great alternative to sugar, and then stevia sparingly. Those are all like your best options. So replace that white granulated sugar with honey or maple syrup. Again, it's not the sugar that you add to your foods necessarily that is the real cause for concern. It's the sugar that food companies are adding to our foods. So there's a difference. There's a difference between sugar and added sugar. Sorry. So Hopefully you found that helpful. If you did find this information valuable, please click on the share button. I want to have a positive impact on as many lives as possible, and you guys can help me do just that. So I appreciate you all spreading the word and helping me get into as many households as possible. I encourage you just to simply start today. Sorry. Now I have a tickle in my throat. But start by eliminating processed foods from your diet as much as possible and practical. Focus on whole foods. That alone is going to drastically reduce your sugar intake. So if you need help with this, I'm your girl. Register for my next round of the Faster Way. Prep week starts on Monday. I am very highly motivated to help you guys prevent and eliminate disease. I want you to feel better than you have in years. I want you to be the best version of yourself, not just for yourself, but for your entire family. And I'm going to give you all the tools you need to make that happen. So again, I just have a few spots left for my October 14th round. So get registered ASAP. I really look forward to working with each and every one of you all. If you've been through the Faster Way before, you can still participate in our Sugar Elimination Challenge by joining the VIP membership. You can just hop in right now. It doesn't matter that we started on Monday. Starting today is better than never starting at all. So I'm going to post the links to join my October 14th or join as a returning client for the membership in the comments below. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, click that share button for me. And thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.